Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and co-hosting with me today is Rochelle Dixon. And by George, it's going to be great. As you know, we've been doing things on Black History Month. Actually, it's Black history.
Yep.
It's American history.
It is American history.
It's American history. And we do it for a month. That's quite a bit of time, because when you start thinking about American history, and actually of late, during this particular time, we were talking also about the whole issue of 250 years, right? American history, 250 years. That's the start, if you will, of this nation that we're in, America. And then the 100-year, where basically when Lincoln made the point about making African slaves, if you will, now American slave owners, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry,
the enslaved, making them citizens.
Being enslaved, making them citizens.
And also, very importantly, making the children of the enslaved citizens.
Well, that Constitution, that was the major history, because it was part of the Constitution. When Lincoln did the peace, when he put that Constitution aspect of it, it's basically all men are free. Mm-hmm. It said men at the time because the majority of the individuals who basically put that whole piece together were all men. Mm-hmm. In all due respect, white males, if you will. You had to own property. You had to have money, this and that. But the fact of the matter is, that was American. That was the start. And the only thing I think about is, who's the guy that was riding the horse in the... People that were poor, people that were, criminals, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of folks, including black folks. There were some black folks involved in it. And then when you start thinking about that part, when it came, the first person that was shot was black. It was African American. There were others though. There were Irish. All kinds of folks were here. They were all folks fighting for this independency aspect of it, and that was it. It was diverse. It was totally diverse. And then when they wrote the Constitution, it was all based on the folks that were there. All totally diverse. There was no such thing as a one nation piece. Got my point? It was just Americans. Mm-hmm. They basically came up with the word Americans. Then all of a sudden we got into the slave owners. Basically, all of a sudden when blacks got involved, they were just like American citizens, if you will. But then and the South was still going through that gang aspect of it. And the next thing you know, it's so beautiful. And just stopping for a moment. The point I'm making is that I can go on. We can go on for hours just talking about that. You and me and I and whatever. But the bottom line is that it's here today. It might not have been in our books. Maybe that was a blessing, because it said, Texas was sort of like in charge. The Confederacy was in charge of in Texas, right? In Texas. And they basically said, okay, fine, we're going to check out these books, and these African American, these slaves, as far as we're concerned, we're going to go that route. Because I'm still thinking about who initiated it to begin with, that whole piece. There's a lot of history there. But we're fortunate now. The books that were being sort of like thrown under the bus or this, that, and the other, and just being prevented from being read and whatever, and into the classroom aspect of it, they were still being developed, but they weren't being instituted in the school system, our education system. But
that's
guess
still
what?
Happening today.
But today, different ball game. It's right here. It's right here. We've been talking about this right off the bat, if you will.
What I think that we have going for us, even when the history that Black history isn't in the school books, is that in many areas, individuals have gotten to know the Black community and individuals in the Black community, and they're starting to integrate with those communities and with whether it be around the arts,
Right.
whether it be around food
yes.
or other things. So there's a lot of understanding that's happening as a result of that.
And it's all right here.
That too.
It's all right here. This is the history. This is the book now.
Yeah.
See, and we created that as a result of that. But now, and you can't take it away from anybody. Now we got podcasts. We got all kinds of. I mean,
TikTok.
You can get your agree on this. Now the book is not in. Is not the group of folks that are basically saying no to these books and no to these books. You can't do it anymore. It's world known.
It is true. It's easier to access information than it was in the past when you had to pay for printing and someone had to approve the book 5 or 6 times before it actually got in the hands of the children. So it is easier in this way, but also it's more complicated, in some ways more difficult. And what I mean by that is you can erase this. Whereas the book, if I had it in my hand, I could have that book for 100 years.
Yeah, but you would be the only one. What about the rest of the masses? That's the problem we're having.
That's true, but what I'm saying is that sometimes there are things that are written that are just not easily accessible on the web to most people. Even though I know it's there, you'd be hard pressed to find it.
Well, you know, the only thing my response to that piece aspect of it, someone else wrote it. It was their opinion. What about mine? I mean, I'm given that, and all of a sudden, that's the only thing I have, and you got to be that. Those are the facts. Facts coming from an individual. But I'm saying this is not just an individual now.
Yes, true.
It's a whole bunch of stuff that's right here, and I'm just saying.
But is it accurate? Just because it's.
Well, yeah, no. Now you got. Now
I'm going to have to be quiet because.
I'm agreeing with you. It's not just one opinion. It's 100 opinions. It's 1,000 opinions. And then you basically go through the facts of trying to put this together, just like I'm asking that question. Was okay? Who was Paul Revere? Why did he do what he did? And for instance, like the Klan. What was the KKK? Why did it start? I mean, it's there. I mean, I remember the Portland Tribune did a series on it, and just so happened I was able to interview the writer, the guy who basically put that piece together, and he did the whole series, and talked about the KKK in Oregon. Talked about it in Oregon, and talked about the history of that whole piece, and then you start thinking about that part, and you start thinking about the Confederacy after the Civil War aspect of it. They would say, "Hey, we're out this deal," so they came this way. They came westward, right? Westward. Then they came down westward, and then here's the Native Americans. The Native Americans were there, and they came in here with guns as opposed to bow and arrows. So there was no opportunity to transition them into guns. So, man, they got wiped out because all of a sudden the land was open for anybody. Remember a bunch of wagons and people just got up there, and they had all kinds of people in those wagons.
Very, very, very true. But I have to say that this is the 9th largest indigenous community. A lot of people do not simply identify as indigenous, and they'll say things like part indigenous. As far as I'm concerned, blood quantum is just another way of making the indigenous community smaller. I think if you're indigenous blood, you're indigenous blood. If you're black, you're black.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm 15% black. I never got up in the morning. I've had my DNA done, so I know.
All Americans.
Yeah. So I just think they're still here. They're still representing.
Yeah.
And I know it's Black History Month, but I want to share this with you because it affects both all of our communities. So, in Southwest Portland, we had Custer Park. Do you remember that?
Custer Park.
Custer, C-U-S-T-E-R.
Okay.
As in General
Custer.
Armstrong Custer.
I checked him out, by the way.
Yes. So General Armstrong Custer was a menace to society, is the best way to put it. He was not revered in his time. He was often thought of as brash. Think of Custer's Last Stand, right? So he was thought of brash. He was a womanizer, and he was not all that conservative. So he had concubine, some other things, but he still held up as a conservative hero in spite of the fact that he had a trans washerwoman from Mexico, a black concubine. There was a lot going on in the 7th Regiment. There was a lot going
across
on.
the board.
There was a lot.
Across the board.
Yes, I researched it heavily. There's even murder involved.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a lot going on. And I just don't understand why we named the park Custer at all. Because he never lived here.
But like you said, who did it?
1964, this community decided that was a good idea.
Was it Republicans? Was it Democrats? Or was it a special little group? Or was it
I don't know,
professor?
I don't know who did it, but there were enough people who weren't concerned about it to let it stand since 1964.
Mm-hmm.
So Custer was basically responsible for the Indian Wars, and his name has been stripped from the park. It's been stripped for some time. Amanda Fritz stripped it, and when she was outgoing city council.
Oh, Amanda Fritz was the one.
Yes, that was been a while. It's finally been renamed. I hope they'll come out and share it with everyone. And I'm not going to even try and mispronounce the indigenous name, but it means the path of the huckleberry. And I thought that was a very fitting name. Just because huckleberries were so important to the indigenous community. And just what the word even huckleberry means. I'm not sure that that's used anymore, but if someone says they're your huckleberry, you got it.
I've heard the word.
You're my huckleberry.
Yeah,
that means you're really substantial, you're an important piece of their life. So I'm really proud that Portland finally got that done.
Doc Holliday, remember him? He used the word a huckleberry all the time. Remember Doc Holliday?
Yeah.
Okay. He my huckleberry. Okay.
Yeah.
But again too. Now you shared your thoughts about him, Custer. But if you check it out now, it's a whole different ball. My point is there are additions. There's another side of him that reveres him. He did this a whole different side.
Yes.
I mean, but like you said, on this other side, early on, all you knew about it was basically that he the Indian Wars aspect of it, and then the big deal with the all of the Native Americans getting together, the chiefs and whatever, and then he basically attacked this piece on his own, and boom, they wiped him out. And but
he was way overwhelmed.
But there was more than that, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just saying. So I guess my point is that I'm agreeing with you, but at the same time, this gives you the complete. This gives the complete. I mean, people are, let's say that you might be able to graduate with just that part, as far as from an educational.
You're going to have to dig for some of those facts that I found. You're going to have to dig for the murder that happened under his watch.
Okay. Was it a read piece? Was it a book, or was it? Did you get another committee?
Letters.
With letters.
Letters that he himself wrote. Letters that other individuals wrote. His court-martialing. He stole a horse. He was a horse thief as well. Yeah. He stole a war horse. And he's pictured on it, but it was never his. Yeah. He stole it. So he did a lot of things that the United States government wasn't exactly happy with. But it was revered because of the mythology. And apparently, there's two sides to every man. And he was very revered and loved by his wife and also his mistress. Yeah. They actually got together to portray this man as a certain being. But it's interesting to watch what the victor writes as the story. And the story that's real is that, in fact, even Custer's, his inner circle, very diverse. I mean, it wouldn't look any different today. I don't think you could get it looking any different today. Yeah. In some ways that's good, in some ways that's very sad, because it means we probably aren't doing the things that we need to do to just further our relationships with each other. But I want to share with you, I'm wearing this wonderful shirt today, and this is about
Oregon now. We're in Oregon. This is
we're in
Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon. Where you got it? Portland, Oregon.
This is Portland, Oregon, not street boxing.
Not street boxing. Wow.
Okay. It says established 1951.
Wow.
1951.
That was huge.
Yes. So if you don't know this, if you've moved in recently, Portland was a boxing town, so
was.
much
Yes, it was.
that we had some of the greats come in.
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
That's right, just right around the corner from where we're filming.
Yeah.
Boxers like Muhammad Ali, Lightning Ray Lampkin.
Oh yeah, Ray's still hanging.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Yes.
He's still hanging. He's in construction now, whatever. I think he's still in business.
Yeah.
But he's really, you're right. And who was there? There's a number of the names don't just come right off the bat. But like you said, it was here in Oregon.
Yes, we had a very thriving boxing
right here
community
in the state of Oregon.
Yes.
I mean, boxing was here in Portland, Oregon, i.e., quote, in the black community with no address. I got to make that point. That's a heavy piece now.
So yes, and I want to say that today, Knott Street Boxing is still being run by a wonderful gentleman named Stan, and Stan has been doing it for a number of years. It's been
Not boxing though.
He's been doing the boxing program for the children to continue the heritage of boxing in Portland,
Where's Ray
Oregon.
about that? Where's Ray and those other guys?
I'm not sure about that, but Stan's been running the program. I think it's for like 4 days a week for a number of years. Stan.
We got to get him on the show. Let's bring it up. Let's update it.
Okay, let's get him on the show. He's a wonderful guy, and I've been there to watch many of the volunteers do the work there, and I volunteered a bit myself. And I want to say that we need to bring programs like that back.
Well, you got, in all due respect, it was a diverse situation too, because many whites were involved in the boxing aspect,
and still
Spears was a heck of a deal. In fact, he's a historian in that particular piece, and in fact, I've interviewed him on several occasions. But the bottom line is that it was a well-known piece here in Oregon from boxing standpoint. And again, like I said, because it was so diverse, people don't talk to it, but that whole piece. You know my point? They basically identified themselves such that people got excited. White kids got it. Was just a heavy piece, and right there at what am I thinking?
Knott Street Gym.
Knott Street Gym.
Yeah,
that's what
it says punches and bunches, and that's what it says on the back. So if you want one of these shirts, you can go over to Knott Street. Also, if you want to learn more about the history, there's an actual book that is written that is available over at the Matt Dishman Recreational Center. So I'm going to conclude with talking a little bit about Matt Dishman. And so the Knott Street Boxing is in the Matt Dishman Center.
What about memorabilia before you leave? Memorabilia and stuff. Are they still on the walls and stuff like that?
I believe there's some paintings.
But not as much as it was.
I'm not sure what there was before, but in the book, if you get the book, there are actual beautiful paintings. There's a painting on the cover, and then there's some artwork of Muhammad Ali and photographs. It goes back decades.
But
I did purchase the book.
But it was part of the black community.
It definitely was.
You know what I'm saying? And all due respect, they've transitioned, but they've not retained, if you will, kind of like a
community's definitely
community
shifted.
definition of it, because it was a facility, in all due respect, that was one of the way outs, if you will, for a number of black athletes, if you hear what I'm saying.
Yes, and I'm hoping that it still can be on a unrelated but related subject. We're still struggling with what to do with some of the youth, and the youth are struggling with what to do with themselves. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of police intervention in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yes, unfortunately, there were some stabbings involving 15 and 17-year-olds, and that
black kids.
I didn't read what color they were.
It's very important now we need to do that. It's unfortunate, because the fact of the matter is, the responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, relies on, in all due respect, on other black Americans, if you understand what I'm saying. And the only reason being is that we don't have an address. That's the other major problem.
We also aren't helping the children in the way that they're asking to be helped.
That's right.
So the children feel unsafe. Mm-hmm. They aren't getting their needs met. They don't feel safe in school. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole nother issue. But one of the things I like about the Matt Dishman Center is it's a very low-cost recreation center run by Portland Rec, right? But the Matt Dishman Center is also named after a black police officer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So if you go to the Matt Dishman Center in Northeast Portland, it's right off of MLK, you will be able to look at a plaque and read a little bit about Matt Dishman, who was one of the first, I guess he was a on the beat police officer, so a community police officer.
Yeah, oh yeah, Portland Police. Yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You know, the other thing about that, again, folks, we're talking about Black History Month, which is American history. Okay,
it is.
You got me? And we're also on this looking at it from the transition, the progression, how things have changed. You got me? It was considered to be, a predominantly a black institution, the Matt Dishman Center, all kinds of activities along that particular line. But today, in all due respect, that percentage of majority is kind of like taking it over. It's not.
There's a bigger white community.
Oh, bigger. Oh, yeah.
However, there is still very much a black presence. I want them to know that, because
what kind of activities are they doing, though, as opposed
for example, I took mediation training, and they're mediators. They're actual counselors that are mediators.
Which is important.
They were a couple of them were formerly employed by Portland Public Schools.
Yeah, okay.
And under the superintendent, what was his name, Gutierrez, he dismissed all of the mediators that were trying to bring peace in the school. Of course, that did not work. I said it wasn't going to work the day he said, well, this is everybody's responsibility, and diversity and equity is everybody's responsibility. When it's everybody's responsibility, it's no one's responsibility. And that's what the science has proved over and over again. And so the unfortunate truth is, if that is not a responsibility or an outcome that you're really working for, you're not going to get it. And so the mediators have kind of spread out, but they're still in the community, and some of them are over at Matt Dishman, and that's a great thing, because it gives you someone to talk to. So we want to still give a shout out to those people who are doing the work, although it's gotten much harder.
I'm excited about it, but at the same time, I'm saying we as a community didn't do enough, if you will, to making sure that we maintain the address. See, what I mean by that, every area has every entity has a bounded area that folks can identify with, from electoral, from a political standpoint. Okay, and I was kind of like heavily involved. The observer was involved in early on, but the bottom line, it was that we had District 18, which was a one. It was a historical piece. But we didn't have the community to understand it enough to make sure that we maintain it. And when I make that, the point I'm making is that when that was created by the governor at the time was Vicatier, and the whole gerrymandering every 10 years aspect of it came up, whatever, and he got very much involved. And I just happened to have been at the Portland Observer at that point in time. So, and then in fact, Ron Herndon was just kind of like he was very active in that aspect of it, got him involved a little bit, whatever, and we were able to get District 18. But there were some of the black leaders in the community that didn't want it to be, quote, a black district. It wasn't a black district anyway. It was a very diverse district. There were, in fact, in all due respect, there were more whites living in District 18 than there were blacks.
I understand.
A lot of folks don't understand. So, you see what I'm saying?
I grew up in Concordia District. So I was the second. I think I was the third. I think we were the third black family on both sides.
Right.
I think the one family, I think they're still there.
Yeah. Okay.
Some iteration of that family is still there.
Right.
And then there was another family across the street, and then we moved in.
Yeah. Right.
And so I see what you're saying. So strangely enough, the laws were not for black ownership of homes until the 1950s. So there wasn't a huge presence here. And after home purchases and people begin to carve out this community, I think we have to recognize how we lost it. And I would say that growing up in Concordia District and during the crack epidemic, that might have been a second slavery. That might have been a Holocaust.
Yeah, but still, I'm still going back to that point. But then there were definitions within that district that was going to identify it. Matt Dishman was in District 18. Jefferson High School was in District 18. You see what I'm saying? Clara Peoples, if you will, was in District 18.
Another
the black ministry, the ministries were in District 18. So that was the whole idea. Not to say that it was just a black district. Uh-oh, who did this?
You must be wanted.
And you made sure it wanted. Let me cut this thing
Or
off.
either that, it's an opportunity for me to
Keep talking.
to talk to you about Clara Peoples, since you mentioned
Oh, I love her.
Miss Peoples, who is responsible for our Juneteenth event.
Oh yeah, big time.
And I understand that she had the first one in 1944 at Kaiser. So a lot of blacks came through shipyards,
Yes.
or military.
Yep.
My father was a Marine, and so this was a port for him. And so Miss Peoples said she wanted to have a celebration, and apparently they gave her like 30 minutes for her celebration or something really small, and she had it. And we've been having it ever since, and it's really exciting that we'll be having it again this year. And her, I believe it's her granddaughter, Janelle, who...
Yep, they're still doing, and Heather.
Yeah.
Heather Coleman is basically kind of helping out.
And I apologize if I leave any of the names
no
out.
problem. No. But Heather is kind of neat. She's working with them and making sure that we maintain the whole idea of Juneteenth aspect of it. And in fact, she's even kind of like, I'm just sharing it with her. She's thinking about taking it to another level from the standpoint, taking it downtown Portland.
That would be wonderful. And I'm going to share a little personal story with you that actually kind of makes me sad. But I established a Juneteenth event that was in East County. And what I found is that Juneteenth slowly began to have less of the meaning that I think the black individuals had in mind, and more of the meaning that the Caucasian individuals wanted to have. So it became a marketplace, for example. Zinger Farm, I worked with them, loved working with them for quite some time. But unfortunately, they did take the event that I hosted with them as the sponsor and consider it their own, and just actually change it to be a mockery. For example, it was about getting black individuals back to the farm. I mean, face it, we're traumatized. The farm is one of the healthiest places that you could be. I regret not having a place.
That's how we survived.
That the youth, when they're struggling in the urban environment, can't go to simply just relax, stare up at the stars, and just find out about nature and themselves. So we don't have that.
Well, but think about it though. You got to remember too.
Let me finish this up because I think it's very important.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
About a year ago, I just thought maybe we should cancel Juneteenth because it just got ridiculous. Everything was go to Juneteenth and pay for a vendor market of things. It was all about capitalism, which is what slavery was about, and the enslaved people on the farms. They went so far away from what Juneteenth was about that I was like, oh. You could have slapped anything on there and you wouldn't have known the difference. You could have said this is a 4th of July party. You could have said it was a Mother's Day party, because it was just a bunch of vendors and not the meaning. They forgot to, well, they didn't forget. They didn't have the bandwidth. They didn't actually simply have the historical knowledge to pull this off.
That's the major problem.
So, for example, when I did it, I had a cakewalk. And people think of a cakewalk as something easy to do. That is not the definition of a cakewalk. A cakewalk has a whole history, according to black individuals who imitated the dances of the masters and the people that enslaved them, and the prize was a cake. There were songs and music. It was a genre, and none of this is taught. Why the food is red. There's meanings to all this, and now it's just a marketplace.
Was this an original deal from your perspective?
Oh yeah, I actually filed an injunction to stop them, and then I said, let me just stop. If that's what they want to do with Juneteenth, let them do that. But Juneteenth is not about capitalism. And I'm really, the way we've pulled it off in this community disappoints me. I think Miss Peoples would be a little disappointed about how some of the people who actually should not be hosting these events, I think it's just gone too far. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, I'm understanding it, but like you said, since you made that point, you can Google Juneteenth and find its definition and its the whole history of Juneteenth sits right here. It's not in the classroom. That's one of the major things. It's not in the classroom.
But you
And
think
the
somebody who was holding a Juneteenth event would understand the significance of what to do and what not to do. But they don't have the history to understand the songs and the food and the meaning. And so it's become a quick buck. And I don't want to start a fight, but I'm going to say rainbow capitalism has become the same.
Okay.
Okay.
But let me make my point. Make sure I want to make that point.
Yes.
Before I forget this piece. Heather Coleman, very important person. Clara had the idea. She had the history and whatever. But again, didn't have the community as a whole.
Yes.
To be a supporter to what she was doing. She was doing many things.
Yes, she was.
She was feeding the whole city of Portland
from her front porch,
and
yes.
Oregon. You got me? And then don't get me going on another subject. The food bank, that was her idea.
The Portland Food Bank was her.
And then we tried to get that changed. You know what? They said no way.
I did go.
Okay.
You're hitting on so many subjects.
I'm
just
saying,
rapid fire.
That's what I know. There's the food bank. But getting back to the parade, the Juneteenth parade, that thing. Heather Coleman. Very creative lady. She's been very, very much involved. She's maintaining Claire's involvement piece with as far as parade is concerned. She's there, and I've met the woman and I sit down. In fact, I've even interviewed her on a couple of occasions, and she is a very progressive kind of a person. She just recently got appointed to Gresham School District. She's a school board member, but she's still very, very active, and she had an event for the 100 years for Black Americans, and she did it downtown. And the whole idea is that she thinks about, well, what about Cinco de Mayo? They've got that downtown. Why can't blacks? And I think Bernie Foster of the Scanner, when he was there, at one point in time tried to go that way, but they wouldn't allow him.
Well,
Bernie Foster.
Okay, so you said the word allow. So if anyone knows about me. Allow, that's a tough word. Okay, so we're going to, if she wants to do that, she should call me.
We're good.
If she wants to go downtown, then she should be able to go downtown.
That's right.
It's just a simple paperwork permit. But let me get back to this. So I filed an injunction.
Okay.
In federal court on
piece.
Zinger Farms. I was sad.
Zinger
Farms.
And here in Portland, or
they're in Portland, Oregon. I was so upset with myself, because I was told by a gentleman that these farms were not farms. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, they get their money from the government, and when you work with them, you're working against the other community farmers. And I said, how could that be so? I did not understand. And I went down and I filed that injunction when I found out what they were really doing. And the whole point was to steal, again, from African Americans. Mm-hmm. And I never went through with the injunction, but I do plan on having a chat with their board. But if every Juneteenth event is you need a $25 ticket to get in, and you got 3 kids, and it's $10 to eat, and this and that and the other, it's not a celebration anymore. It's a financial burden to families, and you're charging them to come back to what they invented in their space. And let me finish.
Yeah, go on.
So when I had it, it was free, and it was donations, and of course Zinger provided some, but it was free. And now we have all this just money passing through people's hands. I don't even know if people can afford Juneteenth anymore.
Well, in all due respect, I've participated in Juneteenth for a number of years. Clara got me involved in it, and my whole job was to make sure we raised that flag, the Stars and Stripes. And I was always I was responsible for getting the military on the front end. You got me? Not to say that the black flag, and we had the other flag, they were part of the deal. But the whole idea was to transition, to basically say, we're Americans, you know what I'm saying? And we're we're black Americans, like they're white Americans or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that we did that, and I worked very closely with the general out there at the National Guard aspect of it. We made sure there was some presence there, and Claire liked it, that piece. And that's where I was. I wasn't into the
That's another thing.
the parties.
It's gotten to be a big party without the education, but
it's
there's
changing.
a cost associated to it.
That's
So
right.
it's not even inclusive.
Right.
So with this burden of the cost,
Right.
I'm the seventh in my family. So doing things where you can only bring one person or two person, how is that a Juneteenth? It's a celebration of freedom, but you're charging people to participate. So how they did it is, I guess they set up these desks and then everybody could buy things. That isn't, I don't think that's the intent. But the main thing it did was not, it didn't allow me to come under the structure of Janelle and Miss Peoples, and I find that that is not necessarily a Caucasian American value to have that structure. And I want to end there about that, because I think the city council needs a little structure. And enough on American history, which is black history, but without our structure and how we define things, what we put into it will go amiss. So I think they had very good intentions. They simply did not understand what needed to happen for this not to be a problem. I've had people out on farms that have cried. I have had people out on farms that have had all sorts of reaction. One gentleman told me,
Did you have any black farmers? Black American farmers?
yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
Zinger actually trained some of them
Okay,
too.
okay. Oh, okay.
We have several. And people keep saying, well, we won't have food if the immigrants leave because there's not enough farmers. And man, if you had an acre or 2 acres, I could give you 5 or 6 farmers per acre right now.
well,
There's just not enough land. But yeah, we do definitely
You know what
have
the
black
issue.
farmers.
I mean, you're saying it right up front. We still have the issue. See, we don't have that many. We're not Chicago. We're not back.
I'm the first generation off the farm.
No. I understand it, but still, in terms of numbers, it's all about numbers, right? Just like the vote is, right? It's all about numbers in the vote. The fact of the matter, we don't have that many blacks.
We don't
here.
have land,
And
but there are plenty of black farmers here. So my
Oh,
mother,
now they are. There's a history.
they
of
came
that.
from the South.
That's right.
And my mother came from Monroe, Louisiana. Okay, and I just found out another farmer is from Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And then I also knew many years ago that Travis Nelson, Representative Travis Nelson, is from Monroe, Louisiana. And all that's in Monroe, Louisiana is farms.
Yeah. Well, I'm from that field. In fact, that jacket that you're wearing there, probably some of that old cotton that I picked way in my days.
Well, this is black history too.
I know it is.
So-
and
So do you know who invented this dye? Indigo?
Okay.
Indigo was invented by Africans.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
see,
so black Africans used to boil.
and you can find it on here. I mean, I'm just.
So I
saying.
dressed all
I mean, it's such a neat idea. The two of us are here in presence, going through this transition. We're here. I think about some of the black leaders of late, if you will, that are not here. But I think about the ones that are here today. They're alive. I mean, I think about Minister Farrakhan, a good example. This guy he's a history buff. He's American history, in all due respect. And then I got a white guy that I'm living here during this particular time, and he's a white American. His name is President Donald Trump. He's American history. He's in a transition. I mean, the only thing I saw about President Trump was one thing. I call him the wake-up call.
oh my goodness.
He's a wake-up call. I mean,
I think we could do
history.
5 hours on
But
Donald
still,
Trump.
I'm using Farrakhan. Look at the years that he has spent. You had Malcolm X, right?
You picked 2 controversial.
No, they're not controversial. That's
You don't think
freedom
they're
of speech.
controversial?
Freedom of speech. Well, remember, that's Constitution now. Remember that now. You got to find out who said that about them. You know, you can say anything you want to say. And you can run
Apparently
for
you
office.
can.
Yeah, you
It
can.
doesn't necessarily have to be
we're,
true.
We're doing it right here. No, that's right.
I think the elephant in the room is, well, I try and say things that are verifiable.
Yes.
Enough information on that we need to investigate it further. But getting away from
Wait,
Donald
don't leave that
Trump
point.
for a
Yeah,
moment.
let's get.
Can we talk about city council for a minute? Because
we
city
do that.
council,
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, okay, good. Now,
you know,
we'll bring him in.
well, we can arm wrestle, and whoever wins, you know, we'll go with your subject or my subject.
Oh no. This is history. This is American history. Okay, he is American history.
He
now,
is.
We're not talk, I can talk about this piece, but again, Farrakhan is too. He's American history.
But do you want me to talk about Donald Trump in history?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say something that's not going to be popular.
And then I'm going to
Okay.
tell you something that's very popular.
Uh-oh. You're going to tell me something popular?
Oh, big time.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something unpopular.
Go on.
So I heard that there was this phrase called Donald Trump derangement syndrome.
I don't remember.
And I thought it was an insult that someone made up. And frankly, there's been a lot of them that I don't really appreciate. And libtard, republic thuggin' or something. And I'm just like, oh, I get it. We want to reach for a catchphrase that just makes us feel
But
better.
who brought that issue?
About
Was it, excuse the French, was it white or black?
who brought the name calling issue
Yes.
up?
Who brought that up?
Well, I brought it up just now. I don't know if
No,
other.
but majority. You know, I mean, you're talking about. I mean, when you look at the tube, I mean, who's doing all of the rioting and whatever?
You know, the right wing and the left wing are part of the same bird.
What are you talking? Republicans, and Democrats, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They're right. It's
Yeah,
one political system.
Yeah.
So I'm not
But
going to
that's the system we're
say.
living under, right?
Yes, I'm not
Okay.
going to say it was just Republicans or just Democrats.
But it was
I mean,
both. It was
yes,
one partisan
they're
deal.
they're all participating in these activities.
And depending upon who's got the majority vote during that particular time.
But I want to go back to the history of Trump derangement syndrome. I thought, this is the craziest thing. What does this mean? And every time I heard someone say it, they accuse liberals, usually a white liberal and oftentimes a woman, of this Trump derangement syndrome. So I spent a little time discovering what it was and when it was used. And I knew it was supposed to be a slur.
Well, what does it
But,
mean? What
but
do you mean?
what I
Define
found
it.
out is that, unfortunately, Trump derangement syndrome has a bit of fact. It's like cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, but why get into the personality thing?
When you realize that something is happening,
Yes. Okay.
and for you, it's the very first time it's happened.
Right, okay.
It's never happened to you
Okay,
before.
okay.
And you think Trump is the cause of it. And Trump has caused all this for you. But the truth is, Trump has done what most 90% of every other president has done. And that's the history of the U.S. presidency. So we've started wars. Trump is not the first person to
Oh,
command that a bomb be dropped or a certain mission be carried out
that's him.
without
Commander-in-Chief.
without consulting Congress. He's not the first
But he's
at
still
all.
the Commander-in-Chief.
That's right. And he's not the first to do that.
Okay.
Trump is not the first to take back immigration rights. There were lots of immigrants in here pre the formation of U.S. and Louisiana was purchased. So there were black people already living there. There were people from all countries, Haiti especially, because it was French. And then they banned Haitians from coming for a long time.
Yeah.
From 15-year-old males could not come. They kept.
yeah.
So he's not the first person to look at immigration and make changes there. All of these things, and even the things that he's been accused of, the ableism, the sexism, all of the things that he's been accused of, not the first. And so when they act as if they're shocked, it means they haven't read a history book.
It's American history.
So
But
it's not that they shouldn't be disappointed.
But it isn't taught in schools.
I know, because I think the reason it isn't taught in schools is much of it happened to people who were othered. So they were either black, African Americans, Asians. So we had internment camps for Japanese individuals. Okay? So Trump having immigration centers, and I don't yet believe they're internment camps. I'm not going to call them that until I have evidence of that, right? So I don't want to be inflammatory here. But these immigration centers, you're going to have to hold these people someplace. And I have said that I think they should be held actually locally, because either locally or in their own countries. But there shouldn't be this third center that we don't have any control over. If we want control, then we're going to have to take responsibility. I can't control something that's in another state that's federal, but I can control how I treat the people here in my custody. I can make sure that they're treated humanely and fair under my rules. But you bring them someplace else, I'm not responsible for that. So Trump derangement syndrome boils down to cognitive dissonance of liberals who don't understand history to understand that everything that's happening has happened before in the United States. And some of these things are just very common world round. And they're just now confronting them. Now that I'm getting cut off, see? He timed that perfectly.
Sorry about that, folks. But the dictionary called me up and said, "Hey, Bruce, you guys need to talk about some of these issues here."
So I think while it's disappointing to have to look at what we are dealing with at the local level and at the federal level, all of these are challenges we faced before, and I do think within our communities we have the answers. I do not feel helpless. I don't.
Okay. Yeah.
I do not suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I do not believe that Trump invented all of this. These things existed pre-Trump and have continued since Jefferson, other presidents. So I think what we need to be doing is working to be a better community so that we can hold our officials to the highest standards. Now, getting away from the federal space, I want to talk about the city council.
Wait a minute, before you get off it, I'm going to make one piece about what I felt real good about is the education piece for Black History Month. This just recently happened. When he was first elected, President Trump, I don't like to use the idea of just Trump, the personality.
That's right. That's true.
It should be President Trump. They should use the word president before they
because
use the
there's
name.
a title
it's
associated with that, and he still has the title.
It talks to the seat.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
The
President
position.
Trump, the position. The bottom line is that when he became president, it just so happened one of Martin Luther King's daughter, she went to Trump and shared with him about the problems that HBCs were having. Historical Black colleges. There were some real problems about closing up. He gave her the money, just being simple. He gave her the money for the schools. Okay? And then naturally in the second term, well, he wasn't reelected. Then he came back this time around. She went back to him again. And she asked for more money, but she wanted to make sure that they've got some future monies in there. He gave her the money again. And the thing that was I liked about that piece, back in the days of slavery aspect of it, if black slaves were caught reading, they were either hung or shot, whatever, all that kind of. But yet and still, here's a person was willing to put the money in something to keep it going, from an education. He gave that money, but at the same time, during Black History Month that we're celebrating right now, he made that announcement during Black History Month. He got some folks together, at the White House or whatever, and said, hey, and had her there. And the first one I saw, and Tiger Woods was there. He had him on stage and whatever, and talked about the situation, about that whole piece, and even had Tiger to talk. Okay? And again, and like I said, and then this time around, just did it the other day. He talked about HBCs, but no one talks about that. The media doesn't pick that up. The media doesn't pick it up and put it on the front page. Now, that's to me was front page because education is the key to the whole deal anyway. our youth. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Well, the elephant is in the room is we have in Portland, we definitely have a challenge with immigration issues, and I want to say that we should have figured this stuff out 4 decades
Well, do me a
ago.
favor.
Immigration
We got 8 minutes on this show. Maybe we'll follow up on this other. But let's start the city deal, and then we'll bring up the immigration piece on the next show. That be okay with you?
You want to talk about the city?
Yeah, let's talk about the city.
I think that's part of the reason why Portland seems to just be explosive all the time is the immigration piece, the ICE piece. People are getting very uncomfortable. But the city council meeting, I wish I could show it on the screen. If you haven't seen it,
I saw that.
Go look it up. I'm talking about for the viewers. Go look it up because
There was a bunch of black folks, right? That were doing all that yelling and stuff.
no.
Wait a minute.
This time it was the Caucasian Americans.
Oh.
But
they was young
I'd like
people.
everybody to remember.
They were young people. They were young people, right? Young people.
Yeah, I understand the passion. I understand.
Going to school with black kids and all that. I mean,
I understand the passion.
And there was some.
But for our elected officials to feel safe and to be in those positions, let's not get 2 inches from their face, okay? Because that's threatening. And then I worry that something's going to happen, you're right, when they're climbing over things. That's scary.
Well, let's put it this way: if there was a bunch of blacks doing that, you think that would have been allowed to go that far? No.
I think in general,
No.
Black individuals are seen as more threatening.
Yeah, but guess what?
You know,
but
I
asked
don't
a
know
question.
why,
I asked you a
just-
question.
Yeah.
If they were just a bunch of black kids or black folks that went up there and did that demonstration like they did the other night.
I'm not a good person to answer this question, and here's why. The other day I was talking about these teenagers and the violence, and I said, but they're just teens, and my son looked at me, who's not much older than them, and said if they're old enough to do those things, they're old enough to pay the price for those things. And so I was had to go downtown to every once in a while get my passport, fingerprints, all that stuff done. And so I had him take me down there, and I said, "Do you want to go to breakfast?" And we just didn't even feel like staying downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I really wanted to. When I go out, I want to go to a small business and put some money in their pocket.
I know that's about you. I know
see
that.
what I'm saying?
I know that about you.
So I had 3 kids, the 2 kids with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "Well, let's go there." And I went to the small copy place and get my fingerprints and for work. And I just the downtown has been ruined, and now city council is having its challenges. I understand they're not doing what everybody wants them to do. They're frankly not doing what I want them to do. The trash in my neighborhood is out of control. The rats in the neighborhood are out of control. I live in Southwest Portland, okay? So I just want to let you know I don't live on gun shooting ghetto lane. And I don't live on gun shooting ghetto lane. So supposedly I'm in a decent neighborhood, and I just don't feel like
What district? What district are you in?
It's Councilor Olivia.
Well, that's 3 of them.
Zimmerman.
Zimmerman's in there too.
Olivia Clark.
And Clark. Oh, Clark. Interesting.
Getting these names.
The vice president.
Give me a minute.
Yeah, she's a vice president of the group, right?
But I don't feel like I just don't feel I enjoy my neighborhood anymore. I don't enjoy getting out as much as I used to. I used to walk, and one time I was walking and a rat crossed. It was just a mouse. But later on I saw the Norwood rats. I think we have to start cleaning this place up. Homelessness.
Well, have you
is
called
definitely-
them? Have you called them?
No.
Oh, why?
Because when I have attempted to reach out, I haven't gotten responses. I'm not going to say that I tried
Okay.
to call Ms. Clark, but based on what I've seen about the city council, they do not have the skill set to do what I need them to do, so I'm not calling them. I've learned my lesson about calling people who can't do what I need them to do.
Well,
So
Well, you're familiar with the military. I'm sure you are. You're very familiar with them. I am too. I went through boot camp, Marine boot camp, and they basically maintain a certain schedule while there for 14 weeks or so. Okay, got me. And at the end of that boot camp, you are given a certificate that you completed it. Now you ready to deal. And I'm just taking that as an example. I'm trying to defend the counsel aspect of it, but they're in boot camp. You only have 3 people that is somewhat familiar with the whole issue of political boot
I'll give you an example.
You see what I'm saying?
So this walk that I take to my friend's business, he's been there many, many years. I'm not going to mention his name, but I think the businesses in Southwest, especially along historic Barber Boulevard, could use some support. You know,
I agree with that.
I made a whole campaign for the businesses along this corridor, and I asked them if they want to participate. I'm not waiting on anybody. I'm not waiting on people who are incompetent to come rescue us with incompetent solutions. We're going to have to figure out our own solutions right here. Let's keep it real. City Council is addressing different issues. They're not addressing economic issues right now. The Norwood rat is an economic issue when you have businesses that don't want to be in the area because it feels unclean and unsanitary.
Right.
And those are the people who have the money to move out. And they are moving out. So we have 56,000 immigrants move in from other countries, and we're negative 900 and some odd numbers of people moving out of Oregon. Those are the people with the money. They move out, then someone takes their place.
Well, a lot of other states are doing the same thing.
What?
Not that many.
But I don't care about the other states because I live here.
You got R's. I know that. So my point is that, and this is historical. This is American history. This is American history, and I'm making the point right now. Rochelle Dixon, you got to run this next round.
We have all these beautiful signs on Barber Boulevard.
No, understand what I'm saying.
Why aren't we talking about the beauty?
You got to get at the table and sit in a seat, whether it be a commissioner for Multnomah County, or be prepared to run for city council or Congress or whatever. I'm saying, and you've got the background. You've got all what it takes. You'd be a heck of a recruit going into boot camp. You pretty well. You could be the lead person in the camp. You know, when you're sitting up there.
I'll give that some thought. But in the meantime, we're suffering. So maybe a couple weeks ago, 2 people died on Barber Boulevard. I'm still waiting for the sign that says that 2 people were hit on this street, and we haven't gotten what we need. That's very serious. Why are people dying on Barber Boulevard? I mean, it's been like 5. What is going on? The blocks are too long.
But you see, like I said, I know you. I got your background. Bottom line, that you got to be at that table. And if it's just a primary, that's a start, because someone that's sitting at that table is going to be elected. Now you can communicate with the person. Are you getting my drift?
Well, they definitely are not communicating with the businesses out there. They're very sad that Portland is turning away from small businesses. It seems to be courting something else. I can't say what they're courting right now.
We got about 20 seconds here now, and as one would say, we're gonna continue on this Black History Month piece, and folks, and I'm gonna hopefully get Rochelle to be with me again, so we can talk a little bit more about that. But again, I'm announcing the fact she's going to be in my seat at some point in time. How about that?
Switch
Take
seats.
care. Have a good one. We'll see you next time around. Nope. You are the person now. Whole idea. I don't want you to change your format.